There it is, the Lake of Rage. Yeah, I see why they sent us. I'll need you to dig down and find the water. Don't worry, I'll be fine. There's nothing on the scanner. Zimps. At least there's nothing bad. Drill will be down there for a while. I'm glad I found you along the way. Let's go, Razpurt!
Razpurt, a raspy reptile curator of hazmat respirators? An asp that spurts into the air and spurts out highly flammable powders and gases? Yeah! Preferring to stay away from humans, this poison fire type lived in the areas just outside of Kanto for eons in smaller numbers as just a fire type closely related to Charmander. But after the cataclysm, they all became sick and began burning their own bodies away with their flame tails. They became desperate, and the few that survived did so by finding human remains of the first scouts and guards, as well as those just trying to survive outside of Neo Kanto City's protective dome. The spent filters in these used-up gas masks were filled with toxins which integrated themselves into its body, leading to its current form. It can launch out poisonous gas clouds, which happen to also be highly flammable, and so once it's done poisoning its opponent, it causes the gas to explode. And this is the idea behind its signature move, Cumberant Gas. It's a two-stage, dual poison-fire type attack. Step 1, it releases a large cloud of poison that causes all those who step into it to become poisoned. And if it wants, it can instead release a couple smaller clouds and send them off in a direction. But in either case, it dissipates these clouds on step 2. By igniting them, causing a small explosion of damage to all those nearby. Personality and body shape pull from the Ippon Datara yokai, which are said to move by jumping really high and far. They are to blame for solitary footprints, you see. And they also live in the mountains as far away from people as they can get, and it's said to be the spirit of an overworked blacksmith staring too long at his flames. Hence the name pulling from Taratara, meaning bellows. And while the half-asp, half-lizard inside is sort of generic on purpose, its eyes and crest makes a simplified biohazard symbol, and in its previous form, makes a little sun.
Oh, crap. Well, you can take on one Xxubis, right? Alright, I guess I will need to thank Sam later.
Oh boy, Pokemon is no stranger to furry and or waifu baiting, making their human and non-human characters very physically attractive, and they do occasionally reference things like Playboy bunnies, like with Lopunny, and they've even found inspiration for Pokemon designs in things like nymphs, sirens, and yokai who are all about sexual attraction to lure men into their traps. Heck, there's even a dominatrix. Maybe two. But I do feel like referencing something as explicit as an actual succubus or incubus is something they wouldn't do unless they were planning on bumping up their rating to a solid T. Plus again, remember, the whole idea of this video series is that we are answering the question, what if Pokemon made a T-rated action JRPG spin-off? And, you know, over-sexualized characters like this is another very big JRPG trope. Freaking Xenoblade. Both forms of Xxubis are almost inverses of each other. The horns point in different directions, the placement of the hooves and which limbs are thicker are swapped, and their fur resembling mascara and eyelashes and even their eye shapes are flipped on each other, and the location of the feather boa too. It covers different parts. At their core, they truly are just Pokemonized succubus and incubus, demons who prey on sleepers, mostly women originally, though quite the opposite today, visiting them in the night to drain them of their energy by sleeping with them and causing nightmares. Experts and historians believe they were used as a way to excuse both wet dreams, which are sinful and you don't want to be blamed for your sins, the church controlled Europe at the time after all, and also as a means of rationalizing nighttime rape. It wasn't a demon visiting you, it was your neighbor, but rather than cause some village drama, the local pastor would explain it away as a demon, and double-check that his mask was well hidden under his bed. The most pious always seemed to be the most devious. Anyway, a succubus Pokemon. This is a male, by the way. See, the thing about succubi and incubi is that they are the same demon, different forms of the same specific spirit. They choose different forms based on who they are attacking that night, and can flip-flop at will. And while Xxubus doesn't change forms, rather it becomes one or the other upon evolution and sticks to it, that form does not determine its sex symbol, which it doesn't even have. In the game data, it's labeled as genderless, and its signature move, Seduct, is literally just the move Attract, minus the of the opposite gender part of Attract's description. Instead, it just works, making fighting off an Xxubus pretty difficult unless you have a lot of Mon out at once. We'll get into how this game is an action JRPG in a later video. For now, etymology. It's pretty simple. Xxubus is a succubus/incubus, an exhibitionist, and doubling up on the X's is a reference to XXX, a common symbol meaning adult content, and
pornography.
Xxubus evolves from Zzimp, a sleepy little imp, and an imp that's a simp for its masters, the few Zzimp who managed to evolve. A simp is officially defined as a simple and/or foolish person, like an NFT owner. But in recent years, it's come to mean something different. A simp is someone, most often a desperate guy, who does way too much for a person they like, most often an e-girl or online celebrity. They simp for them, giving them so many online donations and compliments and defending them as often as possible, all in the hope they will be noticed, given attention, or something. Being a simpy imp is tiring. The Zimps go out and steal energy from sleeping people and Pokemon, which causes them to have bad dreams. And in return, the Zimp only get enough energy to make them get by. But even then, they just cannot help but deliver that energy to the alphas of their pack, the few Xxubus. So the poor Zimps are always exhausted, hence the double Z's in their name. Triple Z is often used as a symbol for the sound of sleeping or snoring. And the poor little guys, they just need a nap. Zimp.
This isn't looking good. Drill should be back soon, but I need more offensive help. But who could possibly...
This man!
Well, that's one down at least. Alright, let's go, Drill, latch on! We'll take them down together.
Every time with this, you can let me in. It's me, Ruby. Ruby Rocket. Thanks, Bombi.
Bombi here is a Bombullo. While it does indeed learn many fighting-type moves, it is a fire type. It's like a water buffalo, except it's fire, so it's funny. It's also a Minotaur, a Greek mythical beast that acts as a guardian to a labyrinth. And this Minotaurmon has a short fuse for a tail, pulling from the common portrayal of bulls in cartoons as easily angered beasts that will explode. But at least while the fuse still has something to burn, Bombullo is a friendly beast to those it trusts, though it is a bit dim-witted. The Game Corner employs one as their bouncer, which is a very good choice because nobody wants to make it mad. When in a total rage, the X scar branding on its meaty forehead glows red hot. And it's like a bull in a china shop, causing all sorts of destruction. And that X is a reference to the X marks on steak, as well as the X or crossbones on explosive kegs of gunpowder. Hence this part of it also being barrel-shaped. But When it's just a baby, its head is your classic round bomb shape. This is Kafoom, also fire type. Its head too big for it dang body, like human babies. It's constantly falling over and bumping into things, which is dangerous because its head is filled up to the brim with explosive mucus. But at least that mucus can be processed into fuel. The name comes from calf, a baby buffalo, and kaboom, the sound of an explosion. It's pretty straightforward, but it doesn't just evolve into Bombullo, who combines bomb with buffalo and puts an emphasis on the full part of its name, because there's also an empty one. This is the grass-type bovoid, a bovine who is empty, drained, and devoid. You see, Kafoom are bred as livestock for meat and that mucus fuel. A lucky few will get to evolve into Bombullo and be given to trainers above ground, but some escape. Along the edges of the underground pastures, there are a few holes into the sewer system, and sometimes wild mushrooms, like those found on Purreshiss, will get a hold of the cow. They are intoxicating, very tempting, putting the buffalo in a high-like state and wanting more. The mushrooms thrive by draining the buffalo's body of its own nutrients, and that leaves fleshy openings for other plants to integrate themselves into the bovine's head, like this bush, which makes it look a bit like a Highlander cow. What a perfect name. A Highlander. Oh, also worth mentioning is that there are a few mushrooms named after bovine, like the Succubus bovinus. And yeah, it's more hard drug references. Things like meth will drain your body of everything and make you incapable of feeling emotion when not high on it. It makes you frail and sick all the time too, and it makes you exactly the kind of person a bouncer is supposed to keep out. Hence this form being super effective on the other. Once caught in such a negative feedback loop, it's hard to get out.
Just a Pikachu cocktail.
This is the psychic type Pachikuru, whose name pulls from two Japanese onomatopoeias. Pachi pachi, which is the sound of falling balls, the sound pachinko machines make. And if you don't know, pachinko is essentially Japan's favorite form of gambling. And then kudu kudu is the sound of spinning things, like spinning slots. Plus, Pachikuru here is actually two different Pokemon bodies in one. The top is Pachi, and the bottom is Kudu, and they are never seen apart and live their whole lives together, balancing some decorated spinning discs between them. I mean, how do you do a slot Slockemon? Well, you make them non-organic, or at least made of wood or something. And being a totem pole is fitting, as most casinos around the world are tiki or indigenous peoples themed, mostly thanks to American media being as powerful as it is, and in the US nearly every casino is owned by a Native American family. Also, yeah, this would be referenced again in a T-rated Pokemon game, right? The Game Corner was a fun casino back in the original Pokemon games, but it had to be removed in the later games because gambling started being considered too edgy for a kid's game. And this did upset some of Game Freak's developers, so I'm sure that if a T-rated spin-off in a cyberpunky city like this would happen, you can bet they would bring casinos back. Now then, Pachikuru has these spinning discs with runes on them, and each rune has a different power of sorts, and when 3 are chosen, an attack is made. Hello! Do you like luck-based Pokemon moves? Well, how about an entire luck-based Pokemon? You know the move Magnitude? It's like Earthquake, except it rolls a die to determine how strong the move will be when you use it. Well, with Pachikuru's signature ability, Randomize, every move it uses has this effect. Will it deal normal damage, double damage, half damage, quarter damage? Will it multiply by 1.5? You won't know until you try. And how about a gambly signature move, Wager, a psychic type attack that will actually change the type of damage it deals randomly, as well as roll a die to determine what sort of status effect it leaves, if any, and on who. Yeah, if you fail catastrophically, you could give yourself a status condition, and it also randomly does a stat change. It's just a big mess of effects. And who gets the stat change? Is it a good stat change or a bad stat change? Who knows? Though the odds are in its favor technically, it is psychic after all, but as my fellow XCOM players would know, a 99% chance to hit your target still means you'll miss plenty of times.
Thanks, Pachi.
Pachi.
You too. So what brings you here? Make an important delivery.
Oh, this? Yeah. Yeah, I'm just waiting for my fence to come get it. It's a really rare specimen. I hear the US URP are looking for them.
Fascinating. Tell you what, Pike. Why don't you leave that with me and go have some fun on the slots?
No, I can't do that. Wait, how do you know my name?
You have no idea where you even are. You just walked in and handed it to us.
No, hey, you can't. The fate of the world depends on that.
Oh, don't worry, Pike. I know all about that. Oh, Precious, how are you?
Purreshiss. That just sounds like a villain's pet cat name, right? Plus, as an alternate evolution of Meowth, taking the place of Persian, whose name is also literally just a word. It's Persian, a breed of cat. What is with that name? Anyway, here it is also just another word. It's Precious, but at least it also has purr and hiss, two sounds cats make. It is a very Egyptian cat, pulling many design elements from Mafdet, the Egyptian goddess of execution, capital punishment, and the protector of the pharaoh's chamber, especially from venomous animals. Purreshiss, then, is normal psychic type, using its psychic abilities to fight back against poison. Mafdet is mostly depicted as a cheetah or serval, so Purreshiss has many spots and small stripe-like spots, as well as pointier serval ears and dark lines under its eyes. And these stripes here on the ears resemble gold earrings, as Egyptians would sometimes decorate their beloved cats. And the jewel in the middle of the forehead resembles the head of a snake. Mafdet's headdress was sometimes shown to have snakes on it, you see. The tail is bent and broken like the tails of many feral city cats, but in this case it's also shaped like an Egyptian crook, which is a part of the symbol for pharaohs. And Purreshiss has whiskers resembling your classic villain goatee and mustache as well, and it can rear up on its hind legs to dish out its psychic attacks, as well as help push wheelchairs.
Could you go and get great old Gramps for me?
Ruby, what brings you here today?
A gift? I'm sure you'll love it. I nabbed the final cells for you.
Excellent. You always were more dependable than your grandfather. Silver will have to work hard to keep up with your promotions.
Thank you, boss. Should I get started with the chip insertion?
Of course. Immediately. I haven't much time left and I need to see this through. I need to fix the damage that I have allowed him to do. Silver.
Yes, boss.
Prepare the final cloning tanks. We have the last of the Zygarde cells.
Oh, that's exciting.